Now, from the area's leader in live local news, this is Wyln News, the area's #1 source of live local news and information in Luzerne, Schuylkill, Carbon, and Columbia counties. Wyln News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this special hour-long edition of Wyln News. I'm Julia Wiegand, bringing you our 2021 Year in Review. We start tonight off by taking it all the way back to January, where mayhem broke out at our nation's capital following a storm of rallying protesters that breached the Capitol building the afternoon of January 6th. Wyln's Philip Kaufman has the story.
52 arrested, 14 police officers injured, and sadly 4 people are dead following pro-Trump protests that escalated into a riot and a breach of the U.S. Capitol. The grounds were stormed around 2 p.m., and within 45 minutes the Capitol building was broken into, with some individuals reaching Senate and House chambers. We spoke to former Congressman Lou Barletta on his reaction to the events.
I was very disappointed to see that, anytime you have a breach of the Capitol building, regardless of the reason or the group, it has to be condemned. As a place that I worked in for 8 years, there wasn't a day that I didn't walk through the halls of Congress in the Capitol building and was humbled by the history that happened in that building, and to see it overrun like that and vandalized and the violence in there was very disturbing.
What started as a peaceful protest escalated quickly, but Lou reminds us that many that were outside were simply there to exercise their rights as U.S. citizens.
There were hundreds of thousands of people that attended the rally and then the protest, and most of them did not participate in any violent protest. And it's unfortunate for those that traveled to Washington, that under the rights and freedoms that we have by the Constitution, they were exercising those. They have the right to protest. We can't paint everyone that went there with the same brush. Many of them exercised their rights and did not breach the Capitol and shouldn't be included. Unfortunately, some did. Once they broke past the Capitol Police, they were committing a crime.
The rioters were moved eventually back outside and pushed away further after tear gas and percussion grenades were deployed. Now, as a nation, we must move forward.
As a country, as a nation, if we want to leave this a better place for our children and grandchildren, the temperature of our political climate needs to be lowered.
Reporting for Wyln News, I'm Philip Kaufman.
Thank you, Phil. Now we inch our way into February, where we continue to discuss PennDOT's proposed plans to establish tolls on interstate bridges. Our Philip Kaufman has more.
In February, PennDOT announced plans to place tolls on 9 bridges throughout the Commonwealth, including on Interstate 80 over Nescopec Creek and the Lehigh River, both in Luzerne County. We spoke with State Representative for the 116th District, Tara Tuhill, regarding the decision.
One of the biggest concerns that we have is that we are the only county that has 2 bridges where there's a proposal for tolling. And this came at a really tough economic time, obviously, during the pandemic. There is going to be a cost to families and to travelers.
No other county has 2 bridges in the tolling proposal. The tolling revenue of the project would be used to fund an estimated $2.2 billion in bridge repairs and replacements, and is expected to start within 2 or 3 years. PennDOT noted they are aware that motorists will avoid the tolls and use other roads. For example, if they bypass the Lehigh River Bridge, they'll have to travel through Whitehaven. As of now, the possibility of PennDOT adding tolls to bridges is still under consideration. The public comment process is still underway. The agency is studying potential problems that tolling could cause on local roads if motorists avoid the tolled bridges, and it is conducting environmental reviews of the areas around each bridge before it seeks federal approval. Reporting for Wyln News, I'm Philip Kaufman.
Thanks again, Phil. As we made our way into March, state officials announced that teachers would be getting vaccinated to make their return to the classrooms. Wyln's Julie Stefanovich has the details on how the distribution process went.
The Wolf administration announced plans to vaccinate both public and private school teachers in order to bring students back to the classroom. School employees were eligible to receive the Johnson & Johnson one-dose vaccine. The Department of Health planned to use the vaccine for teachers, office personnel, dietary staff, and school bus drivers. The state received over 120,000 doses of the vaccine.
As we all know, the youngest learners and vulnerable students, including students with disabilities, as English as a second language, are going to benefit most from in-person learning. And to get those students back into the classrooms as swiftly and safely as possible, we are prioritizing teachers and staff who work with pre-K and elementary students, students with disabilities, students with English as a second language, teachers of English as a second language, and teachers of other vulnerable students in the first round of vaccines.
The Commonwealth is working with the Retail Pharmacy Partnership to ensure that all early childhood workers are also getting vaccinated,
including child care workers providing an essential service to working families all across the Commonwealth.
Future allocations of the J&J vaccine will focus on teachers and staff who work with older students.
The doses of this vaccine will continue to be allocated to teachers and school employees, public and private, until every educator has the opportunity to be vaccinated. Because we're dedicating all of the supply from a newly approved vaccine to this effort, our vaccine rollout to the rest of the population will be unaffected.
Officials with the COVID-19 Joint Task Force said the plan won't reduce the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines meant for existing eligible groups in Phase 1A.
Our vaccine rollout to the rest of the population will be unaffected. In fact, those in line for Moderna and Pfizer will see an increase in supply of these vaccines.
The governor signed House Bill 326, which allows the Pennsylvania National Guard to assist with regional vaccination sites to further expedite the vaccines to Pennsylvanians. Reporting for Wyln News, I'm Julie Stefanovich.
Thank you, Julie. A 1976 Carbon County cold case was finally solved in April, and our Julie Stefanovich has the entire story.
After 44 years, a Carbon County cold case has finally been solved. The victim and her unborn baby were identified through the use of modern technology, and the man accused of the crime is now facing justice.
In late 2020 and in early 2021, DNA labs from Florida conferred with Ortham Labs to enhance the original DNA profile and use it to compare profiles in public databases. Some of those are like Family Tree DNA and other such databases. In March 2021, a DNA database match occurred. The match was from Louis Cologne Jr., who told us, after we contacted him, that we should speak with his father, Louis Cologne Sr., who lived in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. After numerous interviews with Mr. Cologne and his sisters, it was determined that Jane Doe was their sister, Evelyn Cologne.
The Pennsylvania State Police, along with the Carbon County District Attorney's Office, held a press conference in regards to the identity of the victims, Evelyn and Emily Grace. They also discussed the arrest of 63-year-old Louis Sierra of Ozone Park, New York, who allegedly killed and dismembered Cologne of New Jersey, whose remains were discovered on the banks of the Lehigh River in Carbon County back in 1976.
Thanks to advancements in technology, DNA databases, recently we were able to identify the victim as Evelyn Cologne. Through another genealogy database, one of the family members recently submitted their entry in, and we were able to identify her and then ultimately make an arrest.
Sierra is accused of strangling and shooting Evelyn, who was his girlfriend and was also pregnant at the time of the murder.
Louis Sierra of Ozone Park was charged with 1 count of criminal homicide. The charge was filed shortly after his interview with Trooper Knoll in New York, where he was taken into custody. This office was preparing a governor's warrant for extradition to Pennsylvania when we were notified that he willingly waived extradition and is here at the Carbon County Correctional Facility.
A tip line has also been set up for anyone who may have insight on the case.
If anybody out there seeing this might know Mr. Sierra, who was ultimately arrested for this crime, they might have any information on him. That's what we're looking for. We're solid on the fact that he's the person who committed this crime. We're looking for any kind of peripheral information about him, about Evelyn, now that she has been named Evelyn Cologne. Anybody who might have information on her, whether they went to school with her, they lived by her, anything like that.
The investigation remains ongoing, and anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-472-8477. Reporting for Wyln News, I'm Julie Stefanovich.
Thanks again, Julie. Coming up on Wyln's Year in Review, we've got the lowdown on May, June, and July. But first, we'll take a moment to look back and remember those we lost this year.
Hi, my name is Ezra. I'm 5 years old, and it's gonna rain out. Bye.
We want your child to be our WYLN Weather Kid. Your child can be our feature weather reporter of the day on WYLN News and WYLN social media posts just by using your smartphone or any video recording device. It's easy. All ages are welcome, from toddlers to teens. To find out how, go to the weather section of WYLNTV.com or look for our post about it on the WYLN News Facebook page. Submit your Weather Kid video today. All of us at WYLN TV 35 would like to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all our viewers. Come shoot at Whitetail Preserve 118 Boulevard Road in Bloomsburg. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicap accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 or 570-790-8969.
Like and follow WYLN News on Facebook for the midday WYLN News update, posted between noon and 2 p.m. Powered by Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, the all-new emergency room at Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton is nearly double the size. Our updated facility features all private rooms, the latest technology, and a quicker, easier check-in process. Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, your partner in ER care. Like and follow WYLN News on Facebook for the midday WYLN News update, posted between noon and 2 p.m. Powered by Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, the all-new emergency room at Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton is nearly double the size. Our updated facility features all private rooms, the latest technology, and a quicker, easier check-in process. Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, your partner in ER care.
The pandemic cost millions of Americans their jobs, but it seemed that businesses were the ones without workers back in May. Our Philip Kaufman spoke to State Representative Tara Toohill at the time and has more.
In May, we spoke with State Representative Tara Toohill to discuss the growing reports of businesses struggling to hire employees and the movement to increase minimum wage.
So the extended unemployment is definitely a disincentive. People are refusing to go back to work. They're refusing to look for work at this time. And it's not just because they're unvaccinated or they don't feel safe. It's that the government has really been incentivizing staying home. So large industries are suffering with a lack of employees, as well as small businesses, restaurants. I know restaurants have had to decrease their hours. They're looking at closures because they do not have the employees. So we're really having a labor crisis all throughout Pennsylvania. And local employers here are looking at $15 an hour. That's the starting salary, and they're really begging people. A lot of the industries have signing bonuses of $2,000. So really, we're trying to get the word out and work with the employers that are out there and try to link them with people that want to go to work at this time. week, I met with the Deputy Secretary. Her name is Deputy Secretary Ireland of Labor and Industry. And we discussed the need for having a work search requirement. So at least if you're going to continue unemployment, you have to show that you've actively been searching for a job.
Finally, we spoke on minimum wage increase and what that could do to industries that may turn towards automation.
So the governor, I think, was looking at doubling the minimum wage. There's a very small percentage of people right now in Pennsylvania that make minimum wage. Many are part-time workers. And at this point, during the pandemic, the wages have doubled and tripled, even quadrupled. So I don't think it's as much of an issue right now, and immediately might eradicate certain jobs. Like I grew up working at McDonald's. It eliminates the cashier. They even have burger flipping machines that they're looking at evolutionizing to give that to businesses and to eradicate certain jobs for people right now, I think would be extremely problematic.
In December, 25 states increased their minimum wage. Pennsylvania was not included in those states. Reporting for WYLN News, I'm Philip Kaufman.
Thank you, Phil. It's now June, and authorities were searching for the individuals involved in a Luzerne County animal cruelty case. WYLN's Julie Stefanovich met up with the puppy that's a true survivor.
We stopped by the SPCA of Luzerne County to meet the 8-month-old puppy who's already been through a lot in her young life. The dog, now affectionately known as Nova, was found abandoned and emaciated by Pittston police back on June 8th.
Nova was severely emaciated. She would have been a 1 out of 9 on the Purina body scale. She has demodectic mange, a host of other issues that would come along with malnutrition, and with any luck, some prayers, and some hope from our community, she's coming along absolutely swimmingly. She's made some leaps and bounds. She has gained 3 or 4 pounds. We're very happy she's also learning to trust a little bit, which is great.
Police have released surveillance photos of the vehicle believed to have been involved in the incident. Humane Society police officers are also actively investigating the case.
At this point, it's a continuing investigation. We have had a couple leads that have not panned out. However, we do have a couple leads that are quite promising at this point. And like I said, it's ongoing investigation. I can't comment too much further on that in order we don't jeopardize the case in any way, shape, or form. We are working hand in hand with the Pittston Police Department, who have been incredible in their support and assistance in this case.
The person or people involved will face stiff penalties thanks to the passing of Libre's law.
As of right now, we're looking at felonies, probably more than one. Those that aren't familiar with the new animal cruelty law, it's called Libre's law. You commit a felony 3 if you fail to provide an animal with proper food and nutrition, and it leads to a condition like this, near death.
A reward is also being offered by the SPCA of Luzerne County for information that will lead to a conviction.
It's up to $2,500 so far, and I wouldn't be surprised probably by the end of this case, it might be even much higher.
Heavener says that this little miracle has been made possible through the efforts of many.
Our community, thank you. You guys have absolutely come forth and come forward to help this dog, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Nova is on the road to recovery thanks to the staff at the shelter.
A week ago, she was not even remotely responsive to anything. She was so terrified, and now today, she's all over me.
And little Nova already has big plans for her future.
We'll move into a foster care situation, and then eventually with the Pittston Police Department as a victim support animal.
You can contact the SPCA or Pittston Police with any information regarding this case to help bring justice for Nova. In Wilkes-Barre for WYLN News, I'm Julie Stefanovich.
Thank you, Julie. Well, we've officially hit July, where Columbia County Commissioners were looking to bring an old, colorful, creative concept to life in Berwick in the name of tourism. Good old Graffiti Highway, the abandoned strip of Route 61 once considered a popular and tad bit rebellious tourist attraction in Centralia, was officially buried by workers back in April of last year in the heart of the pandemic. largely due to the creative gem being considered a liability issue by the Pit Reel Corporation, which is the private company that owns the abandoned highway. Columbia County Commissioner Chris Young was just one of the many that were disappointed to see it go. So, he and the other county commissioners reached out to Pit Reel with the idea and interest of purchasing it to create a safer tourist attraction for festival-type events, with food trucks, electricity, and a parking lot to alleviate some of the issues. Sadly, they got no response. However, while scrolling through Instagram, Young came across a page called PA Bucket List and others like it across the country.
I saw like Austin, Texas has a graffiti park. Pennsylvania has an abandoned turnpike tunnel that people sprayed graffiti on. It's actually part of the PA bucket list to go see. So I thought, why not try to best recreate what we had over in Centralia, and let's get another graffiti highway. And I thought of Berwick right away because of the Berwick Test Track. It's owned by Berwick, it's out of the way, and this could really develop into something.
At his request, Councilman Jay Jarrett floated the idea of opening a section of the roadway to graffiti artists at their June meeting, which borough officials seem to be on board with. But according to certain 30-second submissions printed in the Press Enterprise, there are some that aren't too fond of the idea.
Now, is it going to have that rebellious feel that graffiti highway had? I don't think so. So will it be as welcomed? I don't know. But I think it could be even better, because you could invite artists to do really neat graffiti, not just so much just scribbling. You could actually invite graffiti artists to have a graffiti artist weekend and do some really cool things.
There would be some rules. The graffiti would be limited to the straight stretch of road at Test Track Park between the boat dock and the stage, where most of the booths for Riverfest are located, and no pornography or profanity would be allowed. The park road is also slated for resurfacing in the near future. So, if council would want to make the artwork permanent, they'd have to do the repaving first, which nobody on council seemed to object to.
So, it was just an idea. I don't know what the end result will be, but I think it would be really good for Berwick and tourism to try to recreate something. I just ask everybody to have an open mind and see how it may develop.
Well, coming up on Wyln's Year in Review, we've got August and September recaps for you. But first, we've got some furry friends for you that are looking for their forever homes.
Hey, Dr. Alex here with another Feel Good Friday. Today we're talking about vitamin D. So vitamin D keeps the COVID away, keeps your bones strong, keeps your muscles strong, keeps your brain strong. It's deficient though in most people, and in the great state of Pennsylvania where I live, the further you get from the equator, the more vitamin D deficiency we see because we have less sunlight. And getting sunlight through a window doesn't work for producing vitamin D because it prevents the exact type of light we need, which is invisible, to hit us. It's UVB. So at midday, at noon, if you had 15 minutes of sunlight 3 times a week, any time besides before March and after October, you'd be covered. But what do you do in those winter months? You have to supplement. You have to supplement vitamin D. There's almost no way to get it without eating liver or something like that. It's very few things that actually have vitamin D in it. So if you supplement vitamin D, it'll prevent all these terrible things and help keep the winter blues away and help you to feel good.
Wyln CA35's children's programming is designed with the specific purpose of serving the educational and informational needs of children. In compliance with FCC guidelines, a copy of the Children's Programming Report is on file for public inspection at Wyln 1057 East 10th Street in Hazleton, Pennsylvania during normal business hours. To view the report online, visit fcc.org.
You always get a feel-good shopping experience at Grand Central in Hazleton.
Have you ever experienced that super pushy salesperson who follows you all around? Not here. Or wandered around that big box store looking for help in the appliance department, only to find the paint guy? Not here.
And we have an experienced, courteous sales staff here to help you find the perfect mattress, piece of furniture, or appliance with no pressure.
And don't forget, everyday low prices.
You always get a feel-good shopping experience at Grand Central in Hazleton.
WYLN programming is online all the time. Visit our website at WYLNTV.com to check out archive shows and a live stream of our broadcasts. And don't forget to visit all of our social media pages for breaking news, weather, and sports. You can also head directly to our YouTube page for all our programming at youtube.com/WYLNTV35. Subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified every time there's a new show available online.
Hey everybody, this week on Let's Talk Chiropractic, tune in, Tara and Kathy, mother and daughter, are going to tell their story about how chiropractic got rid of her migraines, helps her scoliosis, and she doesn't need a hip replacement. So tune in, see what chiropractic's all about.
The Taliban took control of Afghanistan back in August, as just 2 weeks remained until the U.S. was set to complete its troop withdrawal from the two-decade war. WYLN's Mackenzie Ocker has the story.
It was Sunday, August 15th, that the Taliban took control of Afghanistan. The militant group previously held control of the country in the late 90s until a U.S.-led invasion ousted the insurgents from power. In just a few days, the Taliban made its way across the country, and the Western-backed government that ran the nation for the past 20 years had collapsed. Thousands of Afghans fearing for the future raced to the airport in the capital of Kabul. Videos of the chaos emerged on social media, showing several of thousands that stormed the tarmac, clinging to a military jet as it took off and falling to their deaths, which left a total of 7 dead. 72-year-old Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani fled the country with what the Russian embassy in Kabul said to be 4 cars and a helicopter full of cash. The deposed president took to social media to say that he fled the country to prevent, quote, a flood of bloodshed. His whereabouts remained unclear until the United Arab Emirates Foreign Ministry of Foreign Affairs, an international corporation, confirmed that the UAE welcomed him and his family into the country on humanitarian grounds. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden addressed our nation in the chaos, stating that he stood, quote, squarely behind his decision to withdraw and that he would rather take criticism over the fallout in Afghanistan than to leave the decision to another president. The following week, 2 suicide bombers and gunmen attacked crowds attempting to flee at the Kabul airport. One explosion took place outside the Abbey Gate in the Kabul airport, another a short distance away at or around the Baron Hotel. The military believed the attack was carried out by ISIS-K, a splinter group of the ISIS terrorist group. In an address at the White House, President Joe Biden stated that, quote, for those who carried out this attack, as well as anyone who wishes America harm, know this. We will not forgive, we will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay. A total of 13 service members and 169 Afghans were killed. 100,000 people were airlifted from the region during the 2-week evacuation. The last of the United States Air Force has left Afghanistan to end the 20-year occupation that began shortly after the al-Qaeda attacks on 9/11 that cost over $2 trillion and took more than 170,000 lives, until ultimately failing to defeat the Taliban and leaving behind tens of thousands of Afghans. Reporting for WYLN News, I'm Mackenzie Ocker.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Our area saw rain, and more rain as a result of the remnants of Hurricane Ida back in September, which classified as a Category 4 and slammed into the Gulf Coast. Our Julie Stefanovic has the details.
Pennsylvania was hit back in early September by the remnants of Hurricane Ida that slammed into the Gulf Coast just days before. PennDOT encouraged residents to take the storm seriously and avoid traveling unless it was absolutely necessary.
If you must travel, exercise caution, slow down, and do not drive through standing or moving water. Have a backup travel plan and use trusted resources to monitor, or trusted sources to monitor road conditions.
Rushing floodwaters don't just affect vehicles. People out on foot should also stay away from rising waters.
And avoid wading in floodwaters due to the contaminants they contain. We have in the past had individuals that wandered out to be able to take a look at the force of moving water, been standing on the embankment, and unfortunately have been swept away and perished. We want to avoid that at all costs.
PennDOT prepared for the storm and actively monitored roads and bridges.
Because there's been a great deal of rain over the last few weeks and the ground's already saturated,
which means that there is a potential for landslides in those prone areas and quicker than normal rise in those small streams leading to the flash flooding.
Governor Tom Wolf signed a proclamation of disaster emergency, and Pennsylvania National Guard members were on active duty to support rescue operations.
We're doing everything we can to prepare for further rainfall and to prepare for potential flooding. But you can help mitigate this. Everybody in Pennsylvania can help mitigate the dangers of this storm. The best thing all of us can do right now is to stay home and stay safe.
Rivers were also monitored as officials prepared for them to crest following the aftermath of the storms.
Then we'll have to watch as the rain ends and clears out tonight. We'll have a couple of nice days, but we're going to still have to watch the rivers, the main stem rivers. Those will continue to rise as we head into the next couple of days before cresting, all the way from the western part of the state to the eastern part. So we'll have to continue to monitor that as a secondary threat.
Motorists can check on current road conditions by visiting 511pa.com. Reporting for Wyln News, I'm Julie Stefanovich.
Thank you, Julie. Coming up on Wyln's Year in Review, we've got what went down in October and November. But first, we'll take another moment to look back and remember those we lost this year.
When emergency strikes, trust your care to the all-new ER at Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton. With a facility that's now twice the size. Experienced nurses who see you right away. A quick assessment process makes sure you get the care you need. Advanced technology on site. Safe, private treatment rooms, and a peace of mind that only this level of care can bring. When it matters most, trust your partner in emergency care. Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton.
Follow us on our weekly journeys through the backstories of those paving NEPA toward a better future.
Each night we'll dig a little deeper into the lives and goals of our local leaders. So stay tuned for the end of our news as we learn more of those leading the way.
PPW Nation, get ready for the best of PPW Season 2. Join Paul Bowe, E. Julius Kuiper, Alexander Bravado, Tom Mitchell, and Alex Watt as we take you down memory lane and relive some of the best PPW matches of all time. Saturdays at 5 p.m., Sundays at 10 p.m., only on WYLN. When you see news happening in your neighborhood, call WYLN News at 570-459-1869 or email us at news@WYLNTV.com or send us a message on social media through Facebook. WYLN, we're your local network. Come shoot at Whitetail Preserve, 118 Boulevard Road in Bloomsburg. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicapped accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 or 570-790-8969. All of us at WYLN TV 35 would like to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all our viewers.
Like and follow WYLN News on Facebook for the midday WYLN News update, posted between noon and 2 p.m. Powered by Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, the all-new emergency room at Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton is nearly double the size. Our updated facility features all private rooms, the latest technology, and a quicker, easier check-in process. Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, your partner in ER care.
It's October, and it was a tense moment for onlookers watching police gather outside the home of an isolated shooting in Hazleton. Our Philip Kaufman was on the scene at the time and has the story.
WYLN arrived on scene to find officers responding to a home in the area of 2nd and Carson Streets. The afternoon of Tuesday, October 19th, a report of 2 juvenile gunshot victims just after 4. Hazleton police assembled alongside PSP outside the home, unaware of whether the shooter was inside at the time. Officers gained permission from the homeowner to enter the residence and search. However, the unidentified shooter, also believed to be a male juvenile, was nowhere to be found at the scene. The investigation determined that this was an isolated incident. Both juvenile gunshot victims were being treated for their wounds, one of which only suffered minor injuries. The other suffered more serious injuries and was transported to a regional trauma center. Police blocked off the surrounding area to traffic for the duration of the incident, and officers remained on scene until around 9 p.m.
2 shot. One looks like nothing critical, minor wounds. The other one is a more serious wound, and the shooter fled the area prior to our arrival. But that's what we wanted to make sure he wasn't in the residence. So, yeah, we know who he is. So that'll be released later once we get everything squared away.
Reporting in Hazleton for Wyln News, I'm Philip Kaufman.
Thanks for everything, Phil. The remains of 2 small children were found by authorities in Lycoming County back in November, and Wyln's Mackenzie Ocker has the story.
Lycoming County Children and Youth Services began an investigation into Maria Snyder, who lives near Williamsport, back in September. Officials allege that Snyder was neglecting her 7-year-old son, who sources said wasn't even potty trained. They also discovered that her 2 daughters, now identified as 6-year-old Nicole Elizabeth Snyder and 4-year-old Jasmine Jean Snyder, weren't enrolled in school and had not been since 2015. Law enforcement agencies were at her Livermore Road property in Hepburn Township, searching for the remains of her missing daughters. Following a 2-day search, Lycoming Township police confirmed that the remains were found. They claimed Nicole was killed in 2016 and Jasmine in 2017, and that both bodies were buried at the property. Snyder and her girlfriend, Echo Butler, were arrested and charged with endangering the welfare of children and obstruction in child abuse cases. A third person, 48-year-old Michelle Butler, was later taken into custody and charged with endangering the welfare of children and obstruction in child abuse cases. Michelle is Echo's mother, who is the mother of Echo Butler, who admitted to lying to police about the children's whereabouts. Police continue to investigate the case as a homicide. Reporting for Wyln News, I'm Mackenzie Ocker.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Coming up on Wyln's Year in Review, we reach the end of our 2021 countdown. But first, we've got some more furry friends for you that are looking for their forever homes.
You always get a feel-good shopping experience at Grand Central in Hazleton.
Have you ever experienced that super pushy salesperson who follows you all around? Not here.
Or wandered around that big box store looking for help in the appliance department only to find the pink guy? Not here.
And we have an experienced, courteous sales staff here to help you find the perfect mattress, piece of furniture, or appliance with no pressure.
And don't forget, everyday low prices.
You always get a feel-good shopping experience at Grand Central in Hazleton.
Come shoot at Whitetail Preserve, 118 Boulevard Road in Bloomsburg. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicap accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 or 570-790-8969. Hey, did you know Wyln posts news stories and other bonus content on social media all week long? The Weather Kids, Fresh from the Farm, Everyday Heroes, Let's Talk Sports, Feel Good Friday, daily news stories, and more. Visit WYLNTV.com, Facebook, and YouTube to check it out. Wyln, the local leader on social media. We're your local network.
Hey everybody, this week on Let's Talk Chiropractic, tune in, Tara and Kathy, mother and daughter, are going to tell their story about how chiropractic got rid of her migraines, helps her scoliosis, and she doesn't need a hip replacement. So tune in, see what chiropractic's all about.
Like and follow WYLN News on Facebook for the midday WYLN News update, posted between noon and 2 p.m. Powered by Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, the all-new emergency room at Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton is nearly double the size. Our updated facility features all private rooms, the latest technology, and a quicker, easier check-in process. Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, your partner in ER care.
And here we are. It's December, which turned out to have two major events back to back. The first being the press conference that Hazleton area school officials held back on the 6th to clear up rumors following a stabbing incident that occurred on Friday, December 3rd. WYLN's Julie Stefanovich has the story.
Traffic was lined up for blocks back on Monday, December 6th at the Hazleton Area High School as parents came to pick up their children after social media rumors erupted. The panic was attributed to an incident that happened after dismissal the previous Friday, December 3rd, in the Career Center parking lot. School officials called a press conference that Monday to stomp out the rumors.
Students were walking from the high school through the Career Center parking lot. Additionally, individuals were walking from an unknown location off of school district property. An altercation ensued between students and the others. Security officers, teachers, and school police officers quickly assisted in breaking up the altercation.
During the dispute, an individual who wasn't a student at the school sustained what was said to be non-life-threatening injuries. Uplinger made it clear that this incident was unrelated to another stabbing that occurred in the city on December 3rd.
The victim has been uncooperative with the police department. I can assure you that the school district will work closely with local and state authorities to the fullest extent possible. Actions such as this will not be tolerated. Each and every student and staff member should feel safe coming to and leaving school.
Rumors circulated that Monday on social media of both a lockdown and a threat of a shooting.
Both are the farthest from the truth. Unfortunately, our officers and staff members have to take time away from the investigation that actually happened to track down these rumors on social media.
Uplinger went on to say that the rumors only caused unnecessary panic and concern.
We will not tolerate these types of rumors set to disrupt educational programming of the HASD. We will also work with local and state law enforcement to bring these individuals that are perpetrating these rumors to justice.
HASD Police Chief Ed Harry assured the public that the district takes every measure to ensure that children are kept safe in school buildings.
Do you walk down the street and go through metal detectors and have your bags checked? No, but that's what we do here. Okay? Our schools are much safer. We want kids to come in here and get an education. You can't get an education and learn if you don't feel safe. So we make our schools as safe as possible so kids can feel safe and they get an education. And when you talk to kids, they feel safer here than they do out on the street.
The district was working with local and state law enforcement on both matters. In Hazel Township for WYLN News, I'm Julie Stefanovich.
Thanks for everything, Julie. And that same evening, flames left two West Hazleton businesses with severe damage, with no word as to when customers would be able to return. Our Mackenzie Ocker has the details.
On the evening of Monday, December 7th, a fire broke out at Wise Supermarkets. West Hazleton Fire Marshal Rick Sparks provided details about the fire, stating that it was accidental, but the cause remained unknown.
Do not know for certain at this time. We're here this morning with the State Police Fire Marshal Trooper Rossi from Troop N in Hazleton, and we hope to find a little bit more about what happened last night, and that should lead us to some conclusions. But at this time, we have ideas, but nothing we can prove so far. We certainly believe the fire was accidental, and the weather, the strong gusty winds, definitely contributed to the fire, to the rapid spread of the fire.
Further estimations needed to be done to account for the total cost and damages to both Wise and PetSmart.
I don't have a specific dollar amount at this time till Wise completes their inventory and so forth, but it's quite extensive. The entire roof is gone and will have to be replaced, and smoke and water damage throughout the store. All the food is lost and will have to be destroyed. Same situation at PetSmart. They've got a lot of water and smoke damage inside, but we were lucky we got all the animals out. They're all being cared for at their facility in Wilkes-Barre, and you know, that's a good thing. No animals were lost. We had one firefighter injured, and it could have been a lot worse. We had some dangerous conditions here last night.
It would be quite some time until customers were able to shop again at Wise.
Right now they're trying to remove the excessive water in the store till they get cleaned up and they check everything out. Then they'll have to have an engineer come in, and we're going to have electrical inspectors and so forth to come in. I imagine it's going to be some time, but I also think they'll work quickly to get open as soon as possible. The building is salvageable, but it's going to need work.
Wise released a statement to its Hazleton customers after the fire that severely damaged the building. The company said that the Hazleton store is temporarily closed as crews worked on the cleanup process. Wise was on the hunt to find a temporary location for its pharmacy that was planned to open the coming weeks. Wise thanked the West Hazleton Fire Department and other fire companies for their rapid response and were grateful that no one was seriously injured. They then reassigned store employees to nearby locations. PetSmart, located near Wise, opened its doors to the public a few days after the fire. The store suffered water damage and smoke damage, but luckily, the firewall between the two businesses helped to minimize the damage. Crews continued to work on the Wise store, still unclear as to when it was going to open. Wise Markets reopened their West Hazleton pharmacy and their store parking lot as the store continued to repaired from the fire. Investigators believe the fire may have started in a heating and air conditioning unit on the roof, but there is still no word on when the store is set to open again to the public. Reporting for Wyln News, I'm Mackenzie Ocker.
Thanks for everything, Mackenzie. Well, it looks like we're just about ready to wrap up our 2021 year in review, so don't go anywhere. But first, we'll take one last moment to look back and remember those we lost this year and embrace the little ones that we gained.
Do you like craft beer? Do you want to learn the right way to sample wine? How about checking out a restaurant with a unique flavor or a crazy food challenge? These are just some of the things we are featuring on Wine, Hops, and Road Stops. So, spend some time learning about great wine, great beer, and great food on Wyln TV 35. We want your child to be our Wyln weather kid. Your child can be our feature weather reporter of the day on Wyln News and Wyln social media posts just by using your smartphone or any video recording device. It's easy. All ages are welcome, from toddlers to teens. To find out how, go to the weather section of WYLNTV.com or look for our post about it on the Wyln News Facebook page. Submit your weather kid video today.
We all need a midweek pick-me-up, and WYLN TV 35 is your home for good news on Wednesdays. All our good news stories will be printed in the WYLN TV Pennies Classified Good News Bulletin, distributed throughout the community and digitally posted on WYLN News Facebook page and on our website. If you have good news to share, contact us to be featured in our special Good News edition. Good events, good people, good jobs, all good news.
Come shoot at Whitetail Preserve, 118 Boulevard Road in Bloomsburg. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicap accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 or 570-790-8969.
Like and follow WYLN News on Facebook for the midday WYLN News update, posted between noon and 2 p.m. Powered by Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton. The all-new emergency room at Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton is nearly double the size. Our updated facility features all private rooms, the latest technology, and a quicker, easier check-in process. Lehigh Valley Hospital Hazleton, your partner in ER care.
What's on TV? Plenty. WYLN TV 35, the best in local programming.
Phew, what a year. And after what seems like yet another roller coaster we've had, we say 3 cheers to bringing on the new year. That being said, we've officially reached the end of this special hour-long edition of WYLN News. And always remember, the source matters now more than ever. Catch all the latest on our Facebook page, YouTube page, or at WYLNTV.com. Hello 2022. Well, soon enough. So until then, stay happy, healthy, and safe, everyone. A look at today's weather is next, right here on WYLN TV.